Is she breathing?
No, she's not.
Okay, so she's not breathing at all.
She's not responding.
Tragedy strikes music superstar Kanye West. His mother, a woman he calls his soul and rock, is dead.
As the mother of megastar Kanye West, Donda West went from modest beginnings to raise her son to be one of the biggest rappers in the world, and became a regular attendee at the brightest parties in showbiz.
Donda broke every stereotype about single black women raising black sons.
But on November 10th, 2007, Donda West died 24 hours after cosmetic surgery.
She died Saturday night. The cause of her death, though, the exact cause, has not been released.
I feel like sometimes if, me and my mom never moved to Hollywood, that she'd still be here.
In the media storm, the finger of suspicion was pointed at her surgeon, Dr. Jan Adams.
Don't you want to speak out?
No.
Donda's surgery seemed to go well. The real mystery is, why did she die suddenly just 24 hours later?
Dr. Michael Hunter is a world-renowned forensic pathologist. He's performed over 4,000 autopsies to investigate and reveal the cause of death. Today, he's the chief medical examiner in one of America's biggest cities.
I have here in my hands an extremely thorough 36-page autopsy report on the death of Donda West. It's clear that she underwent cosmetic surgery prior to her death, and the coroner concluded multiple post-operative factors could have played a role in the death. But the exact contribution of each factor could not be determined. So my challenge is to unravel the precise reasons why Donda West died.
7 a.m., November 9th, 2007, Brentwood Surgery Center, Beverly Hills. 58-year-old Donda West is about to undergo liposuction and breast enhancement. She moved to California 3 years ago from the Midwest after quitting her job as an English professor when her son, the rapper Kanye, asked her to become his manager. Kanye has just released his third album, Graduation, to acclaim, and is now engaged to fashion designer Alexis Pfeiffer. It is he who is paying for his mother's surgery.
Kanye said that he thought his mother was beautiful as she was, but when you love someone that much and that's what they want, then you can understand why he would happily pay for it.
Having approached various doctors about surgery, Donda has finally chosen Dr. Jan Adams, a highly regarded surgeon for the procedures.
The autopsy report shows that Donda had multiple cosmetic procedures. She has incisions on the upper and lower portions of her body, showing us the extent of this surgery.
8 a.m. Donda is being pre-assessed for surgery. The operation will last 5.5 hours, during which time she will be under general anesthetic. Her vital signs will be monitored throughout. Donda West was born on July 12, 1949, in Oklahoma City. As a child, she was affectionately known as Big Girl by her parents, Portwood and Lucille Williams.
Her parents instilled in her excellence. She told a story about getting all A's and a B, and her father said, "Why did you get the B?" Donda was also, most importantly, on a scholarship at Virginia Union, a music scholarship. She was a member of the college choir, and Donda was a very good singer.
She started her teaching career in the early 1970s, and by 1973, she had married Ray West, an award-winning photographer and member of the Black Panther Party.
When I think about her relationship with Ray West, they had these deep debates and conversations, and there was a lot of passion. It just seems that they were the perfect match to make a Kanye West.
Kanye West, their first and only child, was born on June 8, 1977, in Atlanta. At the age of 3, Kanye moved to Chicago with his mother after his parents divorced. Donda raised Kanye as a single mother.
She took parenting to the whole other level, you know. She brought her educator part into this little being that now was going to be her child.
At the same time, she forged a successful career as a teacher, rising to professor of English at Chicago State University.
Donda had many of the challenges raising a son, juggling schedules, needing childcare, living in a city where you have no relatives, no real support systems, and raising a son who wanted to rap because she wanted him to go to college, she said, but he wanted to rap, so she respected what he wanted to do.
I was working on music and I was still living at home and saying, this is what I'm doing in my life. And she said, you know, Kanye, you know, until you get paid for it, it's still a hobby. And that was just worded so eloquently in comparison to some of my friends' parents that said, you ain't never gonna make it. You know?
Right.
With his mom's support, Kanye dropped out of college and dedicated himself to become a rapper.
They were both very determined people. And when you have two very determined people that are the most important figure in the other one's lives, I think there's an incredible intensity there, an incredible bond. And that's what I think maybe made them such a great team. You know, it really was sort of them against the world.
8:30 a.m., November 9th, 2007. Donda is wheeled into the operating room. While his mother is about to go under the knife, Kanye is over 5,000 miles away in London, promoting his new album, Graduation. 8:45 a.m. Donda receives a general anesthetic.
I know that Donda was planning surgery for a long time. She weighs 188 pounds, she's 5 foot 2 inches tall, and that's a BMI of 32.2, which means she's clinically obese. Donda's weight is significant because the autopsy report shows that she has an underactive thyroid gland, a condition known as hypothyroidism.
Hypothyroidism is when the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough hormones. This causes the metabolism to slow down, resulting in weight gain.
This discovery explains why Donda had such a difficult time keeping her weight under control. What I noticed from this autopsy report is that Donda's first procedure was liposuction. This is a cosmetic procedure in which fat is removed from the body.
9 a.m. Donda is first positioned for the liposuction procedure.
In liposuction, initially a cold salt solution containing adrenaline and a local anesthetic is injected into the fatty tissues. Next, a large hollow needle attached to a powerful suction machine is inserted through several small cuts in the skin. It is passed into pockets of fat where it's moved around with force. Fat is quite solid and needs some liquidizing in order to be sucked into the tube. The saline solution helps to loosen and liquidize the fat. What I'm asking myself at this point is, does Donda have any pre-existing natural disease that might complicate general anesthesia? I see from the autopsy that she does have one significant medical condition, and that's borderline diabetes. Management of adults who have diabetes and undergo surgery is crucial. I can see that Donda's surgical team was unaware of any issues with glucose, and they were not following her blood sugar levels. Now, if Donda did have severe type 2 diabetes, she may have had increased glucose levels leading to hyperglycemia that can lead to a coma and subsequently death. But in this particular case, she only has borderline diabetes, so that's unlikely.
At this early stage of the operation, the biggest danger is the loss of fluids.
Fluid imbalance is one of the most common complications of liposuction. If the body loses greater than 20% of its overall blood volume, that causes the heart to have a difficult time circulating blood to the organs. That can cause organ damage and ultimately hypovolemic shock.
Hypovolemic shock is an emergency condition in which severe blood and fluid loss make the heart unable to pump enough blood to the body. It can be fatal. And in just 24 hours, Donda will be dead.
Stop.
Donda West died over the weekend after undergoing what her publicist says was a cosmetic procedure.
Top medical examiner Dr. Michael Hunter is using Donda West's autopsy report and medical records to piece together the last hours of her life.
We know that she's overweight, she's had extensive cosmetic surgery, and I'm searching for the reason why she died so suddenly.
10:35 a.m., November 9th, 2007, Brentwood Surgery Center, Beverly Hills. Donda has now been under general anesthetic for 1 hour and is having a liposuction procedure. The most significant danger to her health at this stage is a loss of fluids, which can lead to hypovolemic shock.
During Donda's liposuction, I can see that she received 3.5 liters of fluid and lost 0.4 liters of blood and had 1.4 liters of fat suctioned. These are not excessive numbers. There are no complications associated with Donda's fluids, so I can rule out hypovolemic shock. What is becoming clear is that Donda is not in great physical shape. The question we have to ask ourselves is, why would a person in her condition at 58 years of age undergo such a major surgery?
Donda spent 31 years in higher education, culminating with chairing the English department at Chicago State University. When she retired because she took the helm of managing Kanye's career.
In 2004, having spent over 20 years living in Chicago, Donda moved to Los Angeles and into the show business world of music management. It was a move that would pay major dividends for her son.
When someone is that important in your life, and is that successful, I think you need somebody there, you need people you can trust around you, and Kanye trusted no one as much as he trusted his mother.
With his mother by his side, Kanye's debut album, The College Dropout, released in February 2004, catapulted him to international stardom. It gave him hit records, Through the Wire and Slow Jams, his first #1. By early 2007, Kanye West was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world. But managing Kanye and being in LA meant Donda too was thrust into the spotlight. She was now the manager of one of the hottest acts in music.
Well, it's a lot of pressure, and she had a lot of pressure on her. I don't know who was putting the pressure on her, but she wanted to look the part.
Moving from the Midwest to LA is different. LA is Celebrityville, and with being a celebrity environment comes a need to look good. I have friends who are size 3 and feel they are fat who live in LA.
By 2007, Kanye was a superstar. And when he announced his engagement to Alexis Pfeiffer, the media circus surrounding him went into overdrive. Aware of the attention that would be on her and wanting to look her best for the cameras, Donda finally decided on cosmetic surgery.
I don't think there's a woman out there that can empathize with the sense of not feeling good enough, with not feeling you look the right way to be accepted. I believe that in Hollywood, which is all about looks, all about this sort of superficiality, that feeling sort of is exponential.
12:30 p.m., November 9th, 2007, Brentwood Surgery Center. With Donda's liposuction complete, Dr. Jan Adams and his team are ready to move on to the next procedure.
I've discovered that Donda not only was undergoing liposuction, but based on the surgical incisions, she was also having a beltectomy. And this is essentially a tummy tuck around the entirety of the belt line.
They are now halfway through her surgery, and Donda has been under anesthetic for 3 hours.
In addition to the other procedures, Donda is also undergoing cosmetic breast enhancement. And this is a lot of surgery to happen all at once. The autopsy report shows that Donda was under anesthesia for 7¼ hours. This is a long time. The danger of being under anesthesia for an extended period of time, it increases your risk of, say, blood clots as well as infection. It can also lead to excessive swelling, and your recovery time is much longer.
At 3 p.m., Donda's operation is complete. She's wheeled out of surgery, but is still unconscious.
Normally, a patient is going to show some degree of responsiveness within an hour of the surgery.
But by 4 p.m., Donda still hasn't come around from the anesthetic. Her friend Diana Pinkney is waiting nervously.
I was in another room, and every now and then I would go and I would peek in recovery, and she was still asleep.
Looking at the autopsy report, at approximately 4:30 p.m., Donda eventually comes around. She's described as groggy, but was oriented to person, place, and time.
First thing she said was, "How do I look?" And I said, "Are you serious?" And she said, "No, how do I look?" I said, "Girl, you look fabulous." She had an hourglass figure. She was so happy, and her face lit up. I said, see, going through that pain, look what you got.
She may have been pleased by her new look, but Donda is still at risk from complications of the anesthesia, namely blood clotting and infection. 6 p.m. It's now just 3 hours since the operation ended, but Donda makes a surprising decision. She unhooks herself from monitoring equipment and leaves the hospital in order to recover at home.
What I find extraordinary is that Donda was able to walk out of the hospital within 3 hours from waking up from this complicated surgery. I would have expected her to be in the hospital for several days, where her vital signs could have been closely monitored.
She's taken home by her nephew, Stephen Scoggins, and her friend, Diana.
When it was time to leave, I went in and she was laying there, and I said, "Donda, let's go." And she said, "You ready?" I said, "No, are you ready?" And she said, "Yes, I want to go home now."
Despite warnings from her surgeon, Dr. Jan Adams, of the dangers of not recovering from major surgery in a hospital, she is adamant that she will leave. They agree to release her into the care of Scoggins, as he's a trained nurse. He has agreed to get all the medical equipment he'll need to monitor her recovery.
It may have been that Donda's decision to not stay in the clinic and have the aftercare that her doctor suggested was about just having that privacy, going back and having that privacy and not kind of exposing what she may have been slightly, worried the press would find out about or make a big deal about.
8:30 p.m. The group returned to Donda's home in Marina del Rey. She's weak and tired.
She was in a lot of pain. Once again, I had told her, "You're gonna be in a lot of pain."
Diana and Donda's personal assistant Nubia get Donda out of bed and walk her to the bathroom. She has dressings on her incisions for liposuction on both the front and back of her body.
Nubia and I took her in there. We stand her up, and we were on both sides and, washed her down, and she felt better.
But I can see that Donda was complaining of chills, high fever, increased respiration, and increased heart rate. It's possible that she has blood poisoning or septicemia.
Septicemia occurs when a bacterial infection enters the bloodstream. It can cause a serious drop in blood pressure, called septic shock. Once it happens, multiple organs may quickly fail. Over 50% of people with severe septic shock will die.
The breathing, she started, hyperventilating. And I'm like, Donda, where is this coming from? She said, I'm gonna die. And I like, what do you mean you're gonna die?
Is she breathing?
No, she's not.
Okay, so she's not breathing at all.
She's not responding.
Shocking news about the sudden death of the mother of hip-hop star Kanye West.
Donda West, mother of superstar rapper Kanye West, died mysteriously on Saturday, November 10th, 2007, following cosmetic surgery.
The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office says that Donda West died this past Saturday in Los Angeles from what may be complications from surgery.
Dr. Michael Hunter, a world-renowned forensic pathologist, is investigating her sudden death. He has discovered that Donda's surgery itself did not kill her. But what did is still unknown.
I'm scrutinizing the autopsy report, piecing together clues buried deep within its pages to try to determine what actually killed Donda West.
8 a.m., Saturday, November 10th, the morning after surgery. Following her cosmetic procedures, Donda is continuing her recovery at home, against the advice of her surgeon, Dr. Jan Adams.
She really should have been connected to equipment to monitor her vital signs. And without the ability to do that, her caregivers were basically in the dark. Vital signs are key factors in postoperative care, and without this, it increases risk and danger.
But Donda insisted that she had a qualified nurse, her nephew, Stephen Scoggins. He's been attending to her during the night.
She loved this guy because she requested him to be with her, to take care of her. She turned down going to the medical center. Donda turned that down because she had had a conversation with Scoggins, and he was gonna take care of her. He was there to take care of her.
Scoggins promises he's getting the necessary medical equipment for her recovery at home. But so far, it has not been delivered.
I tell Scoggins, where is the stuff you ordered for me? You ordered a hospital bed, you ordered some kind of chair so we could put her in the shower, that she could sit down and take a bath, but none of that came.
The fact that she's suffering chills and a high fever suggests that she could be suffering from a post-surgical blood poisoning or septicemia. I can see that the surgeon, Dr. Jan Adams, prescribed Donda a very powerful antibiotic, Keflex, and this is designed to keep an infection away. I also know that blood was drawn at autopsy for blood culture. The blood cultures came back negative, so septicemia can be ruled out.
9 a.m., 10 hours before her death. Donda is feeling worse than she did yesterday, when she left surgery. Her friend Diana and assistant Nubia are doing their best to help her.
I can see in the autopsy report that Nubia gives her Vicodin for postoperative pain. After a surgery like this, it would be normal for a patient to be suffering pain for several weeks, and the recovery period would be long. It would be common to prescribe painkillers for this.
9:30 a.m. Stephen Scoggins packs his bag and tells Nubia and Diana, who have no medical training or experience, that he has to leave.
You got it.
He explains that they need to give her painkillers at 10 a.m.
I said, "You're leaving?" And he said, "Yeah, I have a baby shower." "Okay, so the hospital bed, when is it coming?" "Oh, it'll be here today." I said, "Stockton, I need everything." I said, I need a thermometer, I need everything here.
10:15 a.m. Donda receives a call from Kanye, who's in London, to see how she is.
Hey, Mom.
Promptly after, Nubia and Diana also check to see if she's okay.
I was like, "Well, how are you?" And she said, "My throat hurts." And I said, "I hear a little rattling in your chest. You didn't have that. What is going on?"
What's interesting here is not only is she suffering chest pain, but she also has a sore throat.
40% of patients intubated during surgery suffer a sore throat afterwards.
But while a sore throat is common, it can also be a sign of a major problem. Within 48 hours post-op, the lungs are very susceptible to developing a pneumonia. On examining the sections of the report addressing the lungs, I've discovered that Donda does have a pneumonia.
Pneumonia is an inflammation in the lungs, in which the air sacs are filled with pus and other fluids, making it difficult for oxygen to reach the blood. This places an extra burden on the heart, and in extreme cases, can be fatal.
But looking further, the medical examiner considers this pneumonia to be quite minimal and not the cause of death, but it certainly is a factor that could place increasing stress on Donda's body.
11 a.m. Donda walks to the kitchen. She feels weak and can barely stand. She tries to eat and drink something for breakfast, but struggles.
I heard Donda ask Nubia to get more Vicodin. And I like, "You wanted more Vicodin? Jesus Christ." She said, "Well, I want something stronger." And I don't know anything stronger than Vicodin.
As lunchtime approaches, the medical equipment Stephen Scoggins promised still hasn't arrived. Diana continues to call him, but he does not pick up.
Donda kept saying, "Call Scoggins." No answer. Kept going to his voicemail all day.
2 p.m. Donda is now breathing heavily and is in pain. She's also perspiring, and cold towels are pressed on her forehead.
She was tired. She was sweating. And that's when I got the towel and I said, "Why are you sweating? What is going on?"
I can see from the autopsy report that Donda was experiencing chest pain, shortness of breath, sweating, and coughing. Although these can be symptoms of a pneumonia, they can also be seen in something that's much more fatal, a pulmonary embolism due to a blood clot.
Immobility during and after surgery can cause a blood clot to form in the deep veins of the legs. If this blood clot breaks off, it will travel to the lungs through increasingly narrow blood vessels. Eventually, it will come to a vessel that it cannot get through and will block the blood flow beyond it. This is a pulmonary embolism. It obstructs blood flow from the heart to the lungs, often causing sudden death. Because she has elected to recover at home without monitoring equipment and with no nurse there, Donda is at increased risk of suffering a pulmonary embolism. Was this what suddenly killed her?
Okay, does anybody there know CPR? I hear several.
Ready to start CPR now. Breathe. Take breathe. Breathe.
On November 10th, 2007, Donda West, mother of global sensation Kanye West, is found dead at her home in California. 24 hours earlier, she underwent extensive cosmetic surgery. Dr. Michael Hunter is investigating her sudden death.
It's concerning that Donda voluntarily left the hospital 3 hours following the surgery and therefore didn't have the proper medical supervision. Her death is still a mystery that I need to solve.
2:30 p.m., Saturday, November 10th, 5 hours before her death. Donda is in bed, resting. Her nephew, Stephen Scoggins, a nurse, has been charged with her care, but he left Donda that morning with friend Diana and assistant Nubia.
So, you know, we got her up, walked her around. You're not supposed to lay too long, and any doctor would tell you, move around, don't stay in that bed too long.
Donda is at risk of suffering a potentially lethal pulmonary embolism caused by a blood clot lodging in her arteries. And without monitoring her vital signs, the risks are even greater.
Although Donda is showing symptoms of a blood clot and she's post-surgical and it puts her at very high risk, there's nothing in the autopsy report that suggests that there is an actual pulmonary embolism. She's in severe pain. Something went terribly wrong.
3 p.m. The pain Donda is suffering is extreme, and Nubia and Diana are getting increasingly concerned.
I can see after her surgery that she was prescribed Vicodin, a very powerful painkiller, and it needs to be used with some degree of caution.
Donda keeps asking for more Vicodin. Unsure whether to give her more, and with Stephen Scoggins uncontactable, they called Donda's cosmetic surgeon, Dr. Jan Adams.
Dr. Adams just asked that Nubia and I follow the prescription bottle. Take this at this time. 1 Vicodin at every 4 to 6 hours, along with the antibiotic.
The key ingredient to Vicodin is hydrocodone. Hydrocodone is a synthetic opioid very similar to morphine. And if it's used over a long period of time, it can become addictive. It can also cause overdose.
Dr. Adam prescribed 30 Vicodins, and that's supposed to last you about a week. And when Nubia got the bottle, and only 10 was left. And that's not good.
It seems that while Scoggins looked after her during the first night post-operation, Donda had taken more Vicodin than she should. 4 p.m. Donda's friend and godmother to Kanye, Glenda Lee, arrives. After some food, Donda takes more Vicodin for her excruciating pain. 6 p.m. Donda tries to get more rest. Following instructions given by Dr. Jan Adams, Nubia and Diana have placed a pillow behind her knees and beneath her head to alleviate the pain and help circulation.
I said, I'll be right back. And she said, okay, I'm gonna be fine. I said, you holler if you need me. She said, okay, I'm fine. She was calm.
7:15 p.m. Nubia asks Glenda to go and check on Donda, as she's unusually quiet. Glenda goes in to see if she's okay.
Donda? Donda! Donda, wake up, honey! Wake up! Diana! Nubia! Donda! Fuck! Do something! Do something! CPR! Do something! Nubia's like, Dr. West, wake up, Dr. West. We was just shaking her.
Donda, wake up, wake up!
So she's not breathing, and I like do CPR.
Nubia begins administering CPR, while Glenda makes a frantic 911 call at 7:35 p.m.
She's not breathing.
This is the recording.
You're doing CPR? Ma'am, is she not breathing at all?